Aidan's just screaming about things he doesn't understand. I don't understand! Welcome to Unorganized Thought, a podcast where hopefully we have enough, fodder to get a full podcast out. We're just kind of...
just winging it.
We're just going for it this time, and hopefully that'll be enough. Our kind of...
Michigan. God damn Michigan.
Oh,
Don't
might as
get
well.
me started.
I think he's in Marquette, and it would have been better if he was in Detroit, just so that he could be in Detroit, because there's nothing like Detroit.
Detroit is like the Regina of Michigan.
Detroit is like the Regina of the world, man. Sorry, all of our fans from Detroit.
Or Regina.
But today our kind of basic kind of idea to kind of go forward with, and we'll just, whatever tangent we go on, we'll follow it, because we want to fill the time here, is sequels that, we never wanted, that maybe we thought we wanted, but after the fact we're like, should never have done any more sequels. Just kind of bad sequels generally, maybe some good sequels. I don't know, we'll see. But I guess kind of the main one that comes to mind for that I had mentioned before we started recording is the Pirates of the Caribbean series. And, I've heard that a lot of people kind of didn't like the second one, or maybe didn't like the third one. I think
both of them are kind of like...
Yeah, both of them, people have their opinions on it. Mm-hmm. But I've always loved, the first three of those movies. Because, it follows the same characters, this kind of same big arc, and, the second one sets up all the things that make the third one good. Mm-hmm. It ends in this huge climactic ending with all the characters you like, and it, it just,
it's good.
Ends really good,
It's
just good. And, you get invested in those characters, mm-hmm. and so, spoiler alert for Pirates of the Caribbean, but, it's so awesome when Will gets killed, and it's oh my god, and then they figure out how to, they make him stab the heart, and it's it's so smart,
Genius.
They've set up all this stuff, mm-hmm. and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it ends all tragic, because then he has to go out to sea.
It's bittersweet though.
It's bittersweet though, and it's awesome.
Can't be with his girly friend.
Yeah, so sad. But then, it ended on this beautiful note.
A neat little bow, a tragically sweet bow.
And then they just had to bring it back for the money. And I tend to find that the fourth and fifth one, all of the good character to Jack Sparrow is minimalized, and all of the just pure drunken goofiness is just turned up to 11.
Yeah. And
it's kind of he was always funny for that, and as a kid that's what you liked about him.
Mm-hmm.
But
so quirky.
Yeah. But it's not enough to make a good character to be your primary character.
In the first Pirates, he was always drunk and goofy, but in control as well.
Exactly.
Pulling the strings behind the scenes.
And that was always kind of the interesting thing, is what the heck is Jack's angle here? And you try and think back through those movies, and it's okay, wait, what was Jack's plan here?
What was he even trying to do?
Exactly, because in the last one, it seems like he makes a deal with the Navy guy, with Cutler Beckett.
And last one, fifth, or
in the third one, sorry, okay. the last true one in my mind. He makes a deal with Cutler Beckett, and then he pretty much fully fleshes out that deal, despite it seeming like he starts working for the good guys again. Everything he promised the guy, the Navy general, he does. Mm-hmm. He says to him, here's the compass, you'll be able to follow me, or whatever. Maybe Jack gets the compass back before the end of that conversation, but he says, I will go into Shipwreck Cove, because it's this impregnable fortress,
Mhm.
I will lure all of them out into open sea, convince them to fight you, and then you can kill them all.
Mhm.
And sure enough, like Jack goes to Shipwreck Cove,
Yeah.
is the deciding vote for going to war. All the pirates go out to open waters where they will be destroyed, and then, you know, just because like of the circumstances of the Davy Jones business and all their Calypso dealings, they did manage to win, but Jack didn't know that. Like he's always just kind of acting for himself,
Mhm.
but in
He's
a
a true
strategic
pirate.
way.
Yeah.
He's a true pirate.
And then in these other ones, he just kind of is, you know, flopping around as this like goofy guy running around all
Yeah.
silly. And it's been a while since I've seen the fourth
Did the-
and fifth one, but
Was the fourth one the one when he started in Davy Jones' locker? Or
that was the third
That
one.
was the third one. Okay.
And
the
that
third-
stuff was a little bit weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just pulling with the crabs.
Yeah, crabs and
Which
stuff.
one? Which one is the fourth one? How does
It's
the
like
fourth one
the-
start?
Starts in like some town where he like gets attacked by that girl he ends up with or something.
Yeah,
I
so
forget.
that one follows like Blackbeard,
Oh yeah.
and like they
Oh,
go
right.
to the Mermaid Island and look for the Fountain of
Yeah.
Youth.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one. Maybe I haven't seen the fifth one.
The fifth one is with the weird like, the weird ghost
Yeah.
ink guys, and they're like breaking off all the time, and it's just like they just get stuck in this trope of like cursed crew, and like
They're skeletons. Then
they're
ghosts.
skeletons, then they're fish people,
and
then they're whatever the hell Blackbeard's crew was, like
Was his crew cursed too?
two zombies and a weird guy. I don't think his crew was too cursed, but then for this last one, it's this I don't remember what he's called, Captain Salazar, that's his name.
Was that a real
Slytherin?
pirate or?
I think it might be based off of.
Is Blackbeard a real pirate?
He was, yeah,
Okay.
and they botched that.
Um,
But
Yeah,
like in the last one, it's just like they tried to give Jack like a little bit of an origin, and it was like no, and then they there's so much bad about that. But let's just back to the fourth one. Without, you know, kind of Will and Elizabeth now that they're out of the story,
Mhm.
like it might have been good, it might have been interesting, but why delve back into it, you know?
Yeah.
When your characters have had this satisfying end, you know, Jack's gonna go have more adventures. You don't have to show us that, because whatever you show us,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be as good as what we can imagine in our brains,
Yeah,
you know.
that's
And
true.
there are certain times when you just, you know, you want to see it go on forever, but like we kind of said in one of our earlier
The Adventure
podcasts,
Time end.
yeah, it's a lot, you know, more satisfying to an audience to see their characters end in a good place
Yeah.
than watch them drag on forever and,
Yeah.
and just like not even be good anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
And like Blackbeard he was like a weird voodoo guy.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had like
There was
the
like
doll.
voodoo dolls and
Yeah,
stuff.
that was weird.
And I feel like that whole movie, Jack was just kind of on the back foot. Like they captured him, and then they were using him to find the thing, and then in the end, he tricked Blackbeard into, like,
What
he
even happened in that?
so
Yeah. I can't
Voodooed
remember.
himself.
yeah. So the Fountain of Youth worked thusly.
Mhm.
There were 2 special silver chalices that went along with it.
Oh.
One
right.
person would drink the one of death, and
Mhm.
one would drink the one of life.
Ah.
And, you know, one person would die and one person would get that person's life. And Barbosa, who now had a peg leg,
Oh yeah, because he was because he's a whatever the hell the word is for that, privateer.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, that's right. He had like a weird powdered wig.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hated
I always
that.
liked Barbosa. What the hell? And he like, oh, that was so stupid. But then, so Barbosa poisoned him with his weird frog sword, Blackbeard. He poisoned Blackbeard with his frog sword, and then
He had a frog sword.
yeah, So
I
There's
there's a lot
It's
of
been a while
crazy
since I
stuff.
saw this movie.
So Barbosa at some point was like, "Here's my jar of poisoned frogs. I milk their poison and I put it on my sword, and of the smallest cut will kill a man."
You know
I couldn't-
Barbossa's licking frogs.
I could never have a sword like that because I'm too clumsy.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's like in your like thing, and you go to like to the bathroom and it accidentally slips out a little bit, then you like cut your leg.
You
And you're like,
accidentally
oh, well.
sit on it.
Oh no!
Yeah, but him and Blackbeard ended up having a fight. Barbosa cut him a little bit with Frog Sword, and Jack came over and he's like, "Oh, here's the chalices. This is the life one. This is the death one." Oh, I think Barbosa also cut his daughter, Blackbeard's daughter.
That was the girl.
And that was the girl that Jack was kind of involved with throughout the movie. He came over and was like, "This is the life one, this is the death one. One of you will save the other." And Blackbeard immediately took the one that Jack said was the life one. And then he had pulled a switcheroo, and then Blackbeard died and gave his daughter life instead. And it was kind of like, okay, like, good trick, Jack, but like, you used to be way more on top of stuff, man. Like, this whole movie, he was just like enslaved by Blackbeard, doing everything that he wanted him to do.
Did he even try to escape?
He's just
A
tired.
couple times, I think. He like jumped off a cliff, maybe, but I think that was also part of their
part
plan.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, and so nothing he did was his like old conniving self. He was just goofy Jack
Wasn't
the whole
the only
time.
thing like the palm tree? I remember some of the palm trees. He like launched himself with a palm tree.
Yeah,
And,
but
like,
even that was
because Barbosa got him or something.
yeah, and it was just so. That was, I think, the Spanish came and captured him, and so. Wasn't he just like going from like palm tree to palm tree, getting launched by them?
Yeah.
And that's
like,
that's a
still
little
tied up. Too,
yeah,
I think. Yeah.
that's a little bit, and like there's only so far you could go. I feel like
I could accept it when it was like messing around with like mast ropes and stuff.
Yeah.
He was fine because like he was a pirate. He knew all the
how
ropes and like what to cut to drop the chandelier on the ship to launch himself.
the chandelier of the ship. But yeah, like, and even that was pushing it, but it was kind of like.
That
You
was,
know,
like, on the
it's the
edge
whimsical
of the-
stuff,
yeah.
and I accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
They also had a fight in like a rolling wheel.
yeah,
So it's kinda like,
so and that was in the second one.
Yeah,
And
that was
so
like-
there were things that you know accepted in this world as kind of these whimsical things, and
Mhm.
so like, but I feel like being launched from palm tree to palm tree, and I don't remember it that well, but you know, from a psychological standpoint, Jack has always been sort of. You know, it seems like he always sort of had a plan and knew what he was doing and knew what he was working towards. Yeah. And, like, it's interesting to watch those movies and try and be like, what is your game, Jack?
I feel like it'd be really interesting to like watch a video. Maybe it's already been made, but like a video that like gives like a deep dive into like Jack's like brain and like his motives and like almost like an English paper.
Yeah.
On like his life.
I've actually seen a video kind of like that. It's just talking about the first Pirates of the Caribbean. I think it's like an hour long. I watched all of it. It was actually really good.
And you won't watch the podcast.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, it just like went into his psychology or like what?
I think it was called like The Secret Genius of Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. It was just like talking about like all the plot beats and everything of the whole first movie and why it was so good.
Cool.
Yeah. I'd recommend it.
It's interesting.
Good.
Recommended video. But yeah, the fourth one really just, and when you have a character as like infamous as Blackbeard, who was like this super badass pirate, who they portrayed him really kind of, I think, a lot more faithfully in Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Mm-hmm.
If you played that,
That's such a good game.
where like he's like this super fearsome pirate, and he only like died after like 6 guys finally stabbed him, and like he was this really like mythic kind of figure. And you know, who knows what's true about that. Like, I'm pretty sure he was a real person. How much of that is just sort of mythology that was built off of that, who knows. But when you have actual source material to go off of that is really, really cool, use that. You know. And I don't know if
make them play with dolls.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know if they touched on this, but in the third one, they really kind of they lay down some more lore where like you've got the pirate lords and like Calypso and all the rules in regards to the Davy Jones gig and everything. And are you telling me that Blackbeard, who is this dude with a magic ship and like this crew, wasn't one of the pirate lords?
Yeah.
You know, and and somehow
I didn't even think
Barbossa,
about that.
who was not a captain, who was in fact Jack Sparrow's first mate on the Black Pearl, somehow Barbossa was one of the pirate lords. Like,
not Blackbeard?
and not Black. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
It never really made sense in the third movie that Barbossa was one of the pirate lords, because he only became a captain after he mutinied on Jack.
Then he like immediately lost that and died.
And well, like,
Not immediately, but
but like after, you know, being cursed for a couple years, like maybe he took Jack's place, but then only him or Jack should have been in the seat, and that could have been an interesting thing to touch on, because those two were always butting heads over who was the captain of the Pearl, and so that could have been interesting that each of them only got half a vote or like stuff like that. If they had touched on that, that could have been an interesting thing, but it just
like the intricacies of pirate diplomacy and politics might be a bit too much to
Yeah.
cram into the
Yeah,
third movie
exactly.
there,
It's like, you were one, but now he's back, so you could just stay.
you both get to vote.
you
Yeah,
both
exactly.
get to vote. And I don't know. I always just thought that was kind of
get to vote.
yeah. I just kind of thought of that last time we were watching them. Is that like, wait, Barbossa's not what? But it just the fourth one, it just was kind of pointless. There was a whole romance with like
The missionary guy
with
and the mermaid.
and a mermaid.
Definitely killed him at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like it just ended all weird and ambiguously, where he's like, I'm being poisoned, and they like set up some sort of lore with the.
Did he get frogged by Barbossa?
I think he did. I don't know. I don't remember. I think they just stabbed him to make the mermaid cry, because they needed mermaid tears to make the potion work.
No, it was tears of joy, wasn't it? Like something like they took him away and then like released him and he went and found her or something.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But aren't the mermaids evil?
This one wasn't.
So
for some reason.
okay.
Even
But
though
all the other ones were.
That movie is so convoluted. So they needed tears of joy. I think you're right. I think that they needed specifically mermaid tears of joy. So Blackbeard pretended to stab him, but actually, like, no, he got like the quartermaster to actually like stab him, and you saw him get stabbed, and then he falls down dead or whatever. And then they just leave the mermaid there, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they all go hide in the bushes. Because then he, like, wakes up and they're like, oh, they must have just given him, like, a sedation.
Stabbed his Bible
They gave him, like, a sedation.
Yeah.
But I watched you get stabbed. Like, I don't care if what they put on that just made you fall asleep. They stabbed you, like, in the heart.
And just bled out.
Yeah, exactly. And so he like came back to life, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so happy." And then I think they snagged the tears of joy,
And they like grabbed
and then
her.
actually stabbed him. I think. I don't remember. If I'm wrong, you know.
We might be paraphrasing.
Yeah,
a
we
lot.
might be paraphrasing a lot here.
But
Because no, they didn't stab him. They slit his throat. They slit his throat and then said that it was, you know,
just
a
went to
special
bed.
sleeping agent.
Did
But
they actually say it was a sleeping agent?
I think
Oh
so.
my God.
That was
It was
the
just
whole.
it was a really hot knife, so they slit his throat.
And it cauterized it immediately.
So he didn't bleed out.
They just cut his throat, man, and then they were like, oh, and he just was fine. They didn't even address it. And I don't know if maybe it wasn't a sleeping agent. I don't know.
Was
know.
it like a phoenix tear thing, like she cried on him?
Maybe, I don't know.
But that wouldn't be a tear of joy.
I just
That
don't
would've been
remember.
My missionary
Maybe it wasn't.
boyfriend got his throat slit.
Maybe it wasn't.
Could you imagine if it got that specific? Like, the tear of a mermaid whose missionary boyfriend just got his throat slit by a gang of pirates. That specific.
That's what we need to make the Fountain of Youth work. I don't know. I don't remember. I really don't remember.
I'm trying,
I don't remember either. I remember that. When did that movie come out? Because I have
I don't know.
I think I have a memory where like they like ruined mermaids for me. because I like
They were
always
scary.
like I never seen like a scary mermaid before.
Yeah.
I've only thought I only thought mermaids were like nice things, and then
sirens, those are the scary ones.
Yeah.
But mermaids.
mermaids
In
are
this,
fun.
they kind of merged the
Yeah,
two.
because didn't they try and sing them off the boat? Or
Yeah,
something?
they
Yeah.
sing them out to sea and then made a scary face.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
started eating
And I
them.
was like, what? Mermaids can be bad?
Yeah, and so
What?
Slitty McThroat missionary man, he apparently was fine after getting his throat slit. I just remembered that weird thing. And then she was like, oh, come into the sea, and they just went into this weird tunnel.
And then
Yeah.
he drowned.
And I'm sure he probably just
He's not a
drowned
mermaid.
or bled to death because his throat was slit.
Yeah. That's-
I don't know, maybe he looked down and was like, oh, they actually just cut my collarbone. I
They just
really
cut my
don't
shirt.
that
remember.
was still hurt a lot.
Yeah. I,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
like
not good.
they slitted him and then
Slitted.
maybe also gave him a sedative.
they had like a
But
pirate ketchup pack.
Yeah, like I don't remember, but I remember that being really weird. And then that
Was
whole
it like his back to the mermaid, like
no,
flap
you
of
just
the blade?
straight up watched it happen.
I'm gonna rewatch that scene when I get
Yeah.
home and try and figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah. Huh.
It's been forever since I seen that movie.
Okay, here.
Saw him.
Well, maybe just maybe I'll put it in to the podcast.
Okay.
Just the slitty,
Just-
so that we
just to
don't
try
get
and get me to-
copyright
to watch
claims.
Should we watch it?
Yeah, here. Let's pause, and maybe right now I'll bring up that little part, and then we'll talk about it right after you see
We'll
just
cut
like
back
the
after a lawsuit from Warner Bros.
Okay.
We'll get the reaction.
Well, we're back.
It'd be too tough.
We couldn't really find a good clip. We're still
Confused.
kind of confused and clueless. I seem to remember him getting his whole throat completely slit. All we know is that they didn't necessarily need a tear of joy because, quote unquote, mermaids be too tough for that.
I'd be too tough for that.
But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just very convoluted.
Yeah.
And then, don't even get me started on the fifth one. Because,
You're gonna be the only person ranting about this because we haven't seen it.
so, in the third one / second one, it's kind of established about the whole rule of the captain of the Dutchman, right? So, oh. Just press the button again for me, Quinn, thank you.
Also the record button. Or...
Yeah. Has it got the red dot?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Okay. So,
Any hoozle.
So Davy Jones, he only became all tentacly, and Tia Dalma / Calypso says this on the boat or whatever,
Mhm.
that he only became all tentacly because he started abusing his purpose. The purpose of the captain of the Flying Dutchman is to ferry the souls of the dead
Yeah.
to and from the afterlife.
Wasn't it only for a certain number of years too? Then he
Well, so
swapped or
he
something?
gets 10 years at sea and 1 day on land. And so he,
For like every 10 years, he gets 1 day on land.
yeah. And so he fell
That's
in
not a
love
good
with,
trade.
yeah, it's not a very good deal at all. But he fell in love with Calypso, and he was like, "Oh, I'll accept this job. I'll go do my job, ferry the souls of the dead for 10 years, and then I'll come and get to spend a day with you, my love." So he went and did his job for 10 years, came for his 1 day vacation after 10 years of work, and she stood him up. She wasn't there. And her explanation for that was, "It's in my nature." And it's like, what? Like, 1 day is all you needed. Like,
He was doing that
you
for
had
10 years.
years to do whatever you wanted. And so then, because of that, his heart was so broken.
You cut it out and put it in a jar.
I
Deal.
I think that maybe he gave the heart cutting came when he accepted the deal.
Oh.
maybe.
Huh.
I don't know. It's a little bit foggy there because then how Will takes over it is by getting his heart into the chest. And so out of his chest. Yeah. Well, no, I think they just kind of cut it
magical?
Out of it. And so it seems to be that
osmosis.
It seems to be that whoever's heart is in the chest is the captain of the Dutchman, and so. But I don't know. It's a little bit foggy. But he might have cut out his heart after, and then that.
I could have sworn there's a scene in the third one where he had a knife and was like just all like stoic, just cutting his heart out.
There was not, but that would have been kind of interesting.
Big old squares.
It's like Surgeon Simulator.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, so I guess. Keeping in mind that it was a little bit kind of frail from the start, maybe it has a little bit of leniency, but he ended up becoming all tentacly and cursed, and any of his crew as well, because he started abusing his purpose. He started just kind of like, not ferrying the souls or like going to people who were dying and just killing them, and so he corrupted his purpose, and so he himself became corrupted. Mm-hmm. And that was the only reason that he was all gross and tentacly and stuff.
That'd be pretty crappy for the crew.
Yeah, pretty sucky. Yeah.
First of all, did they just like live? They were part of his crew when he was normal. Then all of a sudden your captain falls in love with this girl.
No land for 10 years.
Yeah, darn it. And then your boss gets
stood up.
Yeah, stood up, and now you're a squid.
Exactly.
It's like the worst.
I think that maybe it started off that it was just him ferrying the souls of the dead.
Oh.
But then after he corrupted his purpose, instead of ferrying the souls of the dead, he would give dying sailors a deal.
Oh.
He would say, either join my crew for 100 years or something, and then I don't remember what happens after.
Be dead anyways.
And then maybe be dead, or then like 10 years, 100 years of servitude,
something.
And then you'll be free.
Then you get 2 days on land.
or I'll kill you. I don't know. He started doing weird stuff, recruiting people onto his.
That's how he got
his
dad.
But they're actually
just let them be in the afterlife.
Well, no, that was the catch. Is that it was either join my crew or face the beyond. And he would say, like, you can join my crew and then you'll be set free, except part of the ship, part of the crew, which is what they always say. Yeah. They eventually just melt into the ship before
so
their sentence is up. So nobody
will pop out.
Yeah, and so nobody actually gets to leave. So he either enslaves people or kills them. And so that's what he started doing instead of ferrying the souls of the dead. And so in the gosh darn fifth one, the first scene is like Will's 10-year-old son sneaking onto the Dutchman after his dad's like first visit to his son, I guess.
Like Will?
Yeah, William Turner, because now he's the captain of the Dutchman after the end of the third one.
So it's like 10-year-old Will.
It's 10-year-old Will's son.
But isn't his dad also Will?
Yeah.
So it's Will, then
Will
the second, and then Will the third.
I don't think his name is also Will.
But we can call him Will the third.
We'll call him Will the third. So Will the third sneaks onto the Dutchman, and William Turner II comes crawling out, and he's got kind of barnacles on his face. And he says, like, son, you have to leave. They're coming. And you hear, like, kind of like wicked laughter. And it's like, hey, wait, whoa, stop. Davy Jones got all squiddy and barnacle-y because he corrupted his purpose.
Maybe that's what William II's doing too.
But why would he do that?
He hasn't been on land for 10 years. You go a little crazy on the sea.
You got stood up by Elizabeth.
I guess, but
Nothing but the open ocean. You start enslaving people.
But then he says like just the whole way that they did it. He says like, oh, you have to get off the ship. They'll be coming. It's like, wait, what? Who will be coming?
I thought
like
you're
your
their
crew?
captain.
Like you're their captain.
Yeah.
And if they're evil, it's because you're evil, man. Like, and he says like, oh, they're coming. You have to get off. That doesn't make any sense because they would only be evil if you were also evil. So
Unless
you would
they're
probably
just...
say, "All right, son, you're my slave now." You know,
I hope you didn't like land very much.
Exactly. It doesn't add up because I'm sure that Will would stick to his purpose.
Yeah.
You know. Short intermission.
Anyway.
What were we talking about? Davy Jarg's locker. Am I the only one that thinks Davy Jarg every time I hear Davy Jones?
What's Davy Jarg?
I don't know. I just heard that somewhere and it stuck.
Anyways, sorry, Owen's phone started ringing.
And the they, William II, is talking about is his crew.
Is his crew?
I thought
At the
Davy
end
Jones
of-
only had crew because he was enslaving people.
I think that.
There we go.
But they're enslaved.
William was enslaving people, so he
But
was
they're-
evil.
But they're enslaved to the boat, so then...
I think that some
'cause now
people
they're just a
can.
boat.
So
You can't just pick and choose if you have crew or not. William II enslaved people.
So
We have proof.
Bootstrap Bill, who is
Oh, yeah.
William's dad,
William.
William,
The
Bootstrap
first.
Bill, at the end of the last one, decided to stay on as crew. So I think that the choice of going to the Beyond or joining the crew was always part of the deal.
No.
But instead of just... But instead... But instead, I
Oh no.
I'm losing my mind. I don't know what it is anymore. I
think...
I think that the deal that the captain of the Dutchman is always supposed to give is, you can serve my crew, or I will ferry you to the Beyond.
For everyone that dies?
Yeah,
That's a lot of people.
yeah, and he's magic, so he can do it. He's like Santa.
Like Santa.
He's like.
There you go.
But when Davy Jones was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like nicely ferrying people to the Beyond, he would just like slit their throats and throw them to the sea. And when they joined the crew, they also could never then also be ferried to the Beyond. He
But-
would just enslave them into his ship.
Isn't slitting their throat and throwing them over the side of the deck just a rough way of ferrying them to the other side?
I guess so. Kinda.
He was just too rude about it.
Yeah.
So
He was
got
too
meant to
rude.
He
win.
was efficient.
And-
Like, you're dying. Off you
See you
go.
later. You're gonna die soon. I'll
But
just
they
get you
kind of set up this idea in the last one of, you know, when you flip your boat upside down at sunset, you can be transported into Davy Jones' locker, which is sort of this in-between realm between living and dead. And at the end, at the very end, yeah, that's just Molly. At the very end, that's how he disappears. You see the green flash and he goes down. And so I assume that going back and forth, how he's supposed to ferry the souls is he takes them on board, goes to Davy Jones' locker, and then sets them off into one of their little boats. And then they find their way to the afterlife.
Quick thing, did they ever establish how big a boat you needed for that? Could you like be lying on your back at sunset and just flip over?
Maybe.
just on a board.
I mean, probably. Maybe.
It'd be a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
So everybody line up in the sea on their backs. Okay, everybody flip. They all get sucked down. No need for boat. He could do
One,
it from
two,
shore.
three, flip.
You could do it for sure.
No need for this nonsense of being at sea for 10 years. With a big megaphone. Okay, everybody flip! All the lost souls go to Davy Jarg's locker.
Oh, man. I don't know. But anyways, the point that I was trying to make but ended up just getting lost because apparently I don't understand how it works anyways, is that Will shouldn't have been getting all barnacle-y.
Mm-hmm.
Because from
Unless
my
he was
understanding, yeah, unless he was evil,
Which
in
is
which
my
case
theory.
it doesn't really work with what they were trying to set up in
Yeah,
that movie.
okay.
And so, like, that movie just breaks all the lore, because then they're like, oh, we have to find Poseidon's trident, we'll break every curse that ever existed. And it's just the biggest plot convenience ever.
Poseidon's in this now too. I thought it was all like pirate mythology, not like
The sea mythology, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember. Neptune's trident, same difference, just Greek and Roman.
Yeah.
But
Neptune. SpongeBob.
SpongeBob mythology. It's a whole.
Oh my
All right.
god.
Anyways, we're back.
Again.
Owen keeps getting
I'm
phone
just too
calls. He's a popular guy. But anyways, we were supposed to talk about all sorts of sequels, and I just started yelling about Pirates of the Caribbean for 40 minutes.
You know,
but
it's
anyways,
a great sequel.
what's that?
It wasn't really a sequel, but the live-action Avatar.
Mm-hmm. Don't speak to that.
Oh my god. You're not going to believe this. My dad was watching it, and I was like, don't you know this is forbidden? Anyways, he kept watching it. You won't be able to guess who was an executive producer.
James.
Ryan Johnson.
Kathleen Kennedy.
I don't know who that is.
Oh man, and so that's pretty much the Thanos of the problems with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So Ryan Johnson is like definitely evil and definitely to blame. But Kathleen Kennedy is the one who said this like infamous quote, which is, you know, it's hard to make new stories when you don't have 500-page novels to work from. And with Star Wars, you just don't have that. There are so many expanded universe novels.
It's gotta be 500-page novels
Exactly.
on Star Wars.
And it's like, the only reason that those aren't canon anymore is because she erased them from being canon. And that doesn't mean you still can't use them. Like, oh! And so, how could someone so incompetent towards Star Wars' lore be in charge of Star Wars? And I saw that she produced that movie, and I just went, that completely checks out. Like, that, nothing has ever made more sense than what I just saw.
That is one I'm glad they didn't make a sequel for.
Yeah.
That is... Just leave it alone.
Well, and that's the thing, they never should have made that movie. Because
I think it was a cool idea. Because seeing things in live action is kind of
like,
cool.
it is kind of interesting, but that show is just so like good.
It's so good.
It's just so good on its own, you know, and they did a lot of weird, like, Shyamalan was maybe not the guy for that. M. Night Shyamalan, and like I get that maybe he wanted to do some representation in Hollywood, but making the Fire Nation, like, they were all Indian, is what he decided to do. But everything about their culture in the show is very heavily based off of, like, Japanese culture.
Yeah.
And then for the Water Tribe, which seems to closely sort of resemble, like, Inuit culture, they just whitewash them. They're just white kids. And it's like, so what are you going for here? And it just... It's just everything, the effects from what I saw, from the 3 seconds that I saw of when I walked in and saw, it's not very good. Yeah. Like, they do about 7,000 arm flips. Like, I watched this one scene where they were fighting earthbenders, and the Fire Nation guy goes like, oh yeah, ha, whoa, puts his arms up, sideways, side, up, side, and then the fire goes... and it goes like to the side and then over very slowly towards the
wasn't that Iroh in that scene? I thought it was him doing that.
I don't think it was.
I could have sworn it was like,
man, and Uncle Iroh is my boy.
Yeah.
Like, wait, I don't even know what they did with him. What did they do with him in that movie?
I think I blocked it from my memory.
I don't even remember. I haven't watched it.
I don't think he was pudgy. I think they slimmed him down.
He needs to be a chub.
And then he needs to get jacked in jail.
That's
my
also
favorite.
Still look chubby in the end scenes, but he's ripped.
Yeah, he's ripped under there, man.
Out of there. This is by flexing, yeah.
And so, like,
gotta keep the Never mind. Anyway.
Yeah.
It honestly read like the Amber Island play. Watching that, that's what that movie was like. It's like watching that play again. You remember that episode?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly.
Isn't even on that side of my face.
Did they? Okay, I'm gonna have to watch it again. Because I have to see everything that they did wrong, because that's almost a full podcast on itself.
Mm-hmm.
If we all just sit down and watch that and then
Dump
talk
on
about
the
how
live-action
wrong it
Avatar
is
movie.
and how it was due in part to Kathleen Kennedy, like why would you hire this and it's because like she must be a good business person, because like she clearly doesn't care about Star Wars, but she must be, you know, good at, you know, the business side of things, the practical side of things, because it's all about making money for her, and that's clear, you know. And you know, I'm Star Wars makes a lot of money, I'm sure of it. It doesn't mean that they're making good stuff at the moment, you know.
Yeah, once you get something like Star Wars, no matter what you put out, and pretty much everyone's gonna watch it.
Exactly.
And someone will like it. Like,
like
there'll be like when I was a kid, I watched so many just crap stuff
I
just loved.
The prequels.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's case in point. The prequels. Like I love the prequels, like because lightsaber fights. You know,
Yeah,
I probably
exactly.
would have liked The Last Jedi if I grew up with it, because you know, it has some. It doesn't really have that many lightsaber fights. It has like 1 3-second lightsaber fight full of inconsistencies. So maybe I wouldn't have liked that movie, even as a kid. Even as a naive, hapless child, I still wouldn't have liked it.
But it's still like, oh, they're in space. Oh, they can control things with their mind.
You know? Yeah.
Or is
I
it
don't
their
know.
mind? I guess it's not really.
But yeah, I shouldn't have spent so much time on Pirates of the Caribbean, because I didn't know what I was talking about the whole time. I didn't know what I was saying.
Kind of like the Pixar theory one.
Yeah, where we're just like, and then this, and I'm pretty sure. Well, but before that, there was this. Yeah, our kind of before we started talking, our kind of like lead into this was I just looked at my wall of movies over there and saw Avatar and was like, Avatar's never coming out, is it? But I mean,
2020 apparently.
December.
It's supposed to be in December 2020. That's one. You know,
It's far away.
if we're talking about sequels, that's kind of something to mention, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and we're almost out of
messed
time.
up the
So.
first
Was
Avatar.
the ending to the first Avatar like?
He wakes up.
So
I
he
can't-
permanently transferred his body into
And then
his
they're like,
his thingy.
Navi. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're his
The new
Navi
ones.
body, and then he opened his eyes, and that was the end.
And they're making 5 more or something.
And that's what it seems like. Like after that movie came out, James Cameron was like, "I'm making 5 more of those," and then nothing happened
5
for
more is
like
11 years.
for 11 years.
and they made a whole Disney thing.
Yeah.
So like that just means to me that they made a whole world in Disneyland means that they have faith. That
Yeah.
It's like that's
Oh yeah.
like they got to be confident in what they're putting out
Well,
they
it was the highest grossing movie ever for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, close to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean,
It
I
was
don't
good.
really trust Disney's word or opinion on a lot of things these days. Like the MCU, they're doing good work, but other than that, like,
That's one thing.
they really kind of have messed up Star Wars. And like, I mean, you can't deny that they are, you know, they put out good content, but you know, just like anything, there's gonna be things that are hit and miss, and so the fact that Disney is involved does not necessarily give me assurance, is all I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, it's they have to have some assurances that it's gonna be good if they've
It's gotta
invested
at
a
least
whole
come
world
out.
into
Yeah,
it.
like a whole
Exactly,
world. And that's not cheap.
and like I
But-
think.
I don't know. Even I think like people, it's still like the Avatar world still blew up when the new ones weren't out. So maybe
Didn't
it actually
blow
doesn't
up
mean anything.
Mostly because like the 3D stuff it had and like
Yeah.
the CGI.
The ride was sick. It was so good.
Yeah,
It made me feel sick, but it was worth it. It was cool.
that's cool. But
You like sat on the bird. So I'll give you the rundown. It's like this giant-
when did you? Where
in
was
summer,
this?
in Disney World?
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and so like you go and like there's the flying rocks everywhere. It looks pretty cool. And then like the line we waited in for like 3 hours because it just opened up like last year, and there's still like crazy long lines. So, but you get in and you like go in and it's like you're riding. What are the banshees? Are they called banshees?
What are they called?
Banshees in Halo.
Yeah. I think
it's something like that.
I only know I only know what the
birds.
big one is called. The big one is called Turuk Makto.
Yeah, but you get on one of those and it's really cool because it's like kind of like a motorcycle where you like lean and you're like sitting like that.
Cool.
And then like it like is one of those like 4D chairs that like moves forward and back, and then the TV is like you're flying and it like spray water at you when you like go down. And then but like I don't know why, but like you would sit and you'd like straddle the seat, and it was like there was things on the chair by your legs that would like go out like if the bird was breathing. I don't know.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I mean, let's be honest. Any sort of a space world where you get to be on another planet and ride a dragon, you know, it's going to be very interesting, and people are going to go see it, whether it's Avatar or not.
That didn't even know Avatar, but still went.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just, I've always felt that, like, you know, it was a good enough movie when it came out, and I enjoyed that movie well enough, but you know, it was always just kind of a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like it was impressive effects for the time, but now, you know, judging it for what it is from a perspective of nowadays, it's just like it's not the most original concept. Like it's Dances with Wolves in space or Pocahontas in space.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a story that really will ever be old because it always has pull in a modern scope, but like it's just James Cameron, I feel like, just believes that everyone will always constantly be on the hook and ready to receive the million more avatars yet to come, but I feel like nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's any like die-hard Avatar fans who are like waiting so long for this?
Because it wasn't a book, was it?
I don't think so.
It was just the movie.
I think it's just a movie. Yeah. I have another video recommendation for you guys. You should all go watch Gus Johnson, his skit he did on James Cameron and his new Avatar movies.
Yeah.
If you haven't already seen it.
Well, I think what his quote was like, when you see these movies, you will crap your pants in the theater. And it's like,
okay, James.
Okay, buddy. Do I want that? Like,
maybe I won't go.
And it's just these movies have been in talks for, like you say, 11 years. Like that's
older than all the 10-year-olds in the world.
It's older than some of the 11-year-olds, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
It's such a long time for him to expect people to just like come flocking to it, and I'm sure people will.
Yeah. Well, I'll go see it.
And I mean, I'll probably go see it too. But it's just
on streaming sites.
I don't know what I'm building towards here. I think I'm just kind of trying to say, like, it's weird that we've waited so long. It's weird that we've waited so long.
At this point.
Aidan's just screaming about things he doesn't understand. I don't understand.
How did he get his throat slit and not die?
There was like a poisoned dart, but tears of joy, and all of that got kind of...
Bartos's wig!
He's licking frogs now.
And I probably didn't even get to put that clip in, because we couldn't find a good one. And so then it just cut. I said I was going to do it, and then it was just us yelling about it some more, and now I don't know what's happening. I don't know. It's weird that... It's weird that there's a bunch of movies in the works, and they're supposed to be this big deal, when the first one, you know, came out so long ago, and it just kind of, you know, nobody cares anymore. You know what I mean?
I sure as hell don't.
It seems like this would be a really interesting thing if it was a franchise that people loved and was an infamous franchise, but it was just kind of one movie that came out one time, and now there's going to be a bunch more of them. Yeah. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of a weird circumstance to me.
But I mean, never mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, my dad, I remember he took us all to see the Avatar movie because it was like one of the first 3D movies in theaters.
Yeah,
that was the hook. 3D is pretty commonplace, and I think is not even preferred anymore.
Yeah. I don't necessarily...
I don't like 3D movies.
I don't really like going to 3D movies just because, you know, it's not, like...
You gotta wear them over your glasses.
It was interesting the first time when everyone went to see Avatar, and it was like, oh... Look at the little jellies going around.
Yeah.
And, like, they would actually do stuff like that in
Yeah.
those movies. Like, there'd be, like, a tongue that would come out at you. Now it's just like, oh.
But even then, it was, like, that got old pretty fast.
Yeah.
When there would always be the part in a kid's movie where the character went, and
Yeah,
sent,
exactly.
like, little droplets of water flying everywhere. And so... Like, and if you didn't watch it in 3D, it was just this weird, like, moment where the character reaches towards the screen to catch something and their hand, like, is supposed to stick out, but it doesn't, you know?
It's like, oh.
And there were also, did you guys ever have, like, the DVD to, like, I think it would have been, like, Spy Kids or, like, Shark Boy and Lava Girl where it came with the little paper ones? Yeah. And, like, I'm pretty sure they did not ever work.
No.
But...
There was... I had it in my, like, Journey 2, I think.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
And then there's that one scene when he's, like, playing with his yo-yo in the
yeah,
airplane.
and it's just, like, so gratuitous,
yeah.
You know? Like, the T-Rex will go, roar, there's spit flying everywhere, and it's just, like, right towards the camera, and it's just, this scene doesn't make sense in not 3D, and so, you know...
And like nobody has 3D TVs at home.
Exactly. And so it just sort of leaves this weird gray area where 3D should never exist.
One of my friends actually had a 3D TV back in like elementary school, and we never used it. It hurt our eyes. Same with the Nintendo 3DS, nobody used it because it hurt their eyes.
It's like
you have to stay completely still if you want the 3DS to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just. 3D is only worth it when something specifically pops out at you, and when something specifically pops out at you, it doesn't work when it's not 3D, and so it just sort of never really works. I guess Avatar is sort of the best example of it, because there's just sort of these kind of stunning visuals that can pop out at you.
Because you have to put a little bit of work into making proper scenes that work in 3D, not just the yo-yo. Yeah, look at 3D.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I just don't really, I don't really know with 3D, like with modern shows, I would rather just have the story make good sense, have good visuals, and not have to have it be like kind of dark because of the because of the 3D glasses. And so, yeah.
You accidentally smudge your glasses.
And then it's over. And then you try and take off the weird 3D glasses, but they're all plasticky, and so you can't clean them properly, and you've just smudged it worse.
And then you have to sit there and like, well, is it worse to see it blind, or is it worse to see it smudged?
Exactly. Yeah. But, I don't know, any last ideas for sequels and or 3D movies or convoluted pirates?
Santa Clarita died season 4. Why'd they cancel it? I'm mad. That's all I got.
I'm mad.
Upset. They're making Stranger Things season goddamn whatever the hell it is.
Spoiled the twist in their teaser.
And like, you guys ever watch Riverdale?
I did not watch Riverdale.
It like started good, first season good, second season alright, third season, so they did everything. They started off with like normal like murder mystery. Oh, okay, now there's a murderer, now there's a witch, now there's like spirits and an evil video game. It's just weird.
Oh boy,
it just got worse.
It got kind of convoluted there, I guess.
They just hit every single genre. But like they should have just stopped.
But in a bad way.
But in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, a very bad way.
End of season 3, Santa Clarita died. The girl and the guy next door who were supposed to be together all throughout the series, they finally did at the end of season 3, and we never got to see where that went because they just canceled it, and it's over.
Quinn's just over here stewing in the corner.
I'm upset.
Poor
the worst
Quinn.
when it's like canceled too, and you know it's canceled because now it's like now I never ever will know.
I was looking it up, and like an article said that there's usually like clauses in the agreement that they can't take it somewhere to like another network for like 5 years plus maybe. so it's not going to be released anywhere else.
What the
So
hell?
it's just cancelled
Oh,
Forever.
no.
forever. And
That's awful.
They pull a James Cameron and bring it back when I'm like 31.
That's sad.
I'll wait.
I'll wait.
I'll wait.
I'll wait for you. I guess, kind of final thoughts for me. A couple things that I wanted but didn't like when I got them. You know, The Last Jedi, obviously. The Crimes of Grindelwald.
We are putting lids on those cans for another day.
the Crimes of Grindelwald, that'll be a good podcast. We'll maybe have you two on, or
I remember
one
when
of
we
you with
met
Harry
up and we just like were angry for 3 hours about it.
exactly, because it's convoluted, makes no sense. J.K. Rowling has also
lid on the
yeah, J.K. Rowling has also now said
stop.
some controversial stuff recently, and
Did
so
you
it's
say
just kind of
someone else
like,
was
more
gay?
recently, or is it just the other stuff that happened?
Dumbledore is gay.
well, it's not that I don't she. I don't really want to get into this.
Lid on the
she said she'd some strong opinions about transgender people.
Oh yeah.
Lid firmly
Lid
on.
firmly
Tucked away.
on. Get out of here. We're just not gonna touch that. And when we do when we do indeed do a Crimes of Grindelwald one, we'll probably just sidestep that because I don't want to get
about Crimes of
too
Grindelwald.
political. Yeah. William Turner should not have been all barnacle-y because
Maybe
he
he
would have
just
been
fell
doing his job.
I disagree. He went evil and he was slaving.
That's the explanation. He was
He
slaving.
was slaving hard.
Yeah.
He just the 10 years in the sea.
That'll
Messes
do it
you
to
up.
him, man.
Okay, real quick, one last tangent back to Pirates of the Caribbean. Didn't Davy Jones come on land cheating by like standing in a bucket of water? Couldn't Will have done that just like bunny hopping around?
I'm coming for you, Elizabeth.
Yeah, and so that's kind of a weird caveat that was just kind of like, why didn't you just move over a little bit and he could have been like in the water? You know, they were on this weird island in the middle for their little parlay. I don't know. And why can't Elizabeth just go and live on the Dutchman with him?
Yeah.
With
He
their
doesn't
son.
want her
They
to
could just
be
get
barnacle.
waterfront
Like,
property.
maybe
he could pull
she-
up every night and just hop on land with his bucket.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, maybe they do have to go underwater sometimes, but like maybe you don't. Like you obviously, like she went to the Davy Jones locker and back. So obviously a human can survive the journey.
I mean, what happens if he does go on land? I thought that was what made Davy Jones tentacly.
No, I think he just dies.
That's
But then who brings him?
I don't know. So clearly there are some very vague things in regards to that whole idea, but I think, like, it used to make sense before I
the
started
less you
talking
think
about
about
it.
it, the more it makes sense. in this
Maybe
case.
maybe there is like a set of rules that make sense. Maybe there's not, and so maybe this epic betrayal that I thought existed in the final installment isn't actually anything because none of it ever made sense at all. But who knows? This ended up being not really what I anticipated. I just kind of
It's good.
screamed about things I don't know for 45 minutes.
Hey, it's called unorganized thought.
Exactly.
There you go.
Hopefully it wasn't too confusing or convoluted. And yeah, if there are, maybe we'll do another sort of more organized rendition of this.
A more organized
Because,
thought,
Unlikely.
unorganized
We just kind of hopped into this one. If there are sequels that you wanted but then hated, if there are sequels that you never wanted and then hated, sequels that you never wanted and then liked, let us know in the comments. If you've managed to stick around this long.
This is shorter today, wasn't it?
Not really.
Oh.
But anyways, thanks for stopping by and staying as long as you did. Peace out.
Bye. I miss you already.
Don't go.
That got a little weird. Goodbye.